I started feeling stuck and I started feeling invisible and started feeling, for lack of a better word, unhappy.
Charu Aggarwal spent 20 years in corporate America and discovered the truth behind what really holds high-achieving women back. You've lived this life, right? I mean, you've had the big career and had some aha moments in the meantime.
People gave me advice that they thought was appropriate, but in hindsight, I would say none of that was helpful and none of that was accurate. We are programmed sometimes to really adapt to society's labels and to adapt to our family's expectations of us. I just felt compelled that I should be sharing that message with more women so that they have some of the tools necessary to be successful in corporate. And if you're in the wrong place, no matter what you do, it will not be effective. If your boss or your superior or your manager or your organization or whoever it is around you, if they're not treating you well, then that is not the place for you.
Hello and welcome to Radical TV. I am Shawna Smith. Joining me here today is Charu Aggarwal. Hello, Charu. How are you?
I'm good, Shawna. How are you? Very nice to see you.
Nice to see you. I am super excited to chat with you here today. Charu helps high-achieving women reclaim the joy, clarity, and power by guiding them to discover their highest potential. I love this so much that you help high-achieving women. You know, I see women out there who look like they have it all. The career, the family, the children, the home, whatever. But sometimes, you know, maybe they're not feeling it on the inside, Charu. Is that kind of what you're talking about?
Yeah. And I feel like women are programmed differently. You know, we are programmed sometimes to really adapt to society's labels and to adapt to our family's expectations of us. And I feel like I've looked at men who navigate their careers and I've looked at women who navigate their careers, and they're just completely different mindsets, different ways of showing up in meetings, different ways how they are asked for doing certain tasks. And I feel like, women, based on my journey, what I've learned, I just felt compelled that I should be sharing that message with more women so that they have some of the tools necessary to be successful in corporate.
Mm-hmm. And you've lived this life, right? I mean, you've had the big career and had some aha moments in the meantime.
Yeah, I mean, I spent over 20 years in corporate America and working for Fortune 100 companies, some of the biggest global banks. And I've worked with, some very, very determined individuals, worked on very, very challenging and demanding projects. And I would definitely say I was one of those high achieving women who wanted to give it their all. And I don't know if it's considered positive or negative, but, wanted some recognition of that. And I think that I got some of it, but I feel like time and time again, I fell short of my own expectations. And I got to a place where I started feeling stuck and I started feeling invisible and started feeling, for lack of a better word, unhappy. And, at that point I had to pause. I had to look around for help. I really did, actually, even within my own company, within the own environment that, the companies offer you. I looked around, I asked around for help, and people gave me advice that they thought was appropriate. But in hindsight, I would say none of that was helpful and none of that was accurate. And the answers lay really somewhere else. The answers to the things that I was looking for in terms of even achieving the success that one would require in some of those demanding, high pressure environments was completely different from what I was led to believe.
What would you say is the biggest misbelief that your target audience has been told that you've discovered is completely false?
So what comes to top of mind is working hard. The message that often women get, in general, maybe all employees get that, but I think women really take it to heart, is just continue working hard and you will get recognized. And especially, as someone who came as an immigrant to this country, I really embraced that a lot. I said, I'm going to give it my all. I'm going to work 100%. And of course, someone will notice. People do notice, but whether or not they will give you credit for it are two completely different things. And I feel like my clients would resonate with that. And yeah, I think that's one of the biggest misconceptions.
And how long did you believe that misconception yourself?
Far too long than I should have. Um, I wish someone had told
I
me
know
that
the
sooner.
feeling.
Yeah, yeah. It was a long time before I realized I switched up. I gave up on that, and there were some others. That's one of them. The other could be, some people give you good advice, so it's not just working hard. Some people will say, well, show up and be a self advocate. Speak up for yourself and brag about your work, and just be open to speaking up in meetings. They'll give you simple strategies. Um, it may or may not work. It's not inaccurate advice, but again, that is not all. That's probably like 5% of the whole picture. It's a whole, it's an inside out system, which my framework kind of addresses that a lot. And then it's also an outside in system. It's also about surrounding yourself with the right people and the network, and how you navigate a certain environment where you're in. So it's a multi skill set tool kit, so to speak, that you need to operate and to work in some of these environments.
Yeah. And you've developed a unique magic method called Radiant. Tell me about that and what all is entailed.
Yeah, so it took me some time because I had to piece together and kind of compress, all the learnings from my journey, specifically in corporate. And I would say definitely the last 20 years. And then even before that, in terms of some of the things I saw while growing up, in terms of leadership and what makes people successful. And so Radiant really is, R is remember who you are. And it means I will give my clients specific tools where they can evaluate themselves. There are various personality tests in the industry, but I give them the ones that are really accurate and matter and really help people get to the heart of who they are. Once people know their strengths and weaknesses, they come from a place of knowing, and they can step into a meeting or a workplace with confidence. And they can also evaluate other people, and they may not know 100%, but they can have a very good, keen sense of what the other person wants, and then they can navigate that conversation based on that. So that's a very, very important step, remembering who you are. The A is awaken to your inner power. So it's about understanding what drives you, what do you really want, what are the gaps that you're trying to address, and then looking at what the environment around you wants. What are your superiors and your company and the organization that you're working for, what are their goals? And are you aligning to them? Are your goals aligned to their goals? You want to be in a place where you are walking hopefully towards in the same direction. And if you're not, then maybe that's something that may be off. So that's the second. Dismantling the conditioning is the third, and this is a very, very critical step. People are usually held back by beliefs that they've had. Sometimes people are aware of these beliefs, and those are actually very easy to get. But the most difficult are the beliefs that people have that they're unaware of. And I, through my coaching certification, through a lot of modalities that I've learned in the last few years, I help people, I can do sessions with them, and I can take them to a place where they can discover and find and unearth these unconscious limiting beliefs. Just finding out about these beliefs is not enough. What you really have to do is actually kill and dismantle them. Like, they have to really get out of your system. And that's where my next step comes in, which is the integrate. So really learning all that, where you are, where you want to go, what's holding you back, and then taking the step forward and integrating that into your action plan in terms of what you will do, how you will approach your life, how you will implement, your strategy to move towards your goals. The A is the activate. So activate is really stepping into this new identity. Once you know who you want to be, you're stepping into, the executive. Let's say if you are a middle management woman who is feeling stuck in her career and she wants to, she's seeking that promotion, then it's really about coming up with all the knowledge that they now have, then they're stepping into that executive presence, right? I give them the tools and strategies. Again, it's not about talk. It's really about giving people specific tools and steps that they can follow. It's just like an ABC, and to get them there to that place. The N is the navigation with intention. So what I mentioned before about being aware of your environment, you want to be in an organization. So the me is very, very important as an individual, right? You have to be very clear about where you want, where you're trying to go. But the navigation is you are never alone. Man is a social animal, and everything that you are only exists in conjunction with the environment that you're in. And so you have to see how you're responding and reciprocating to your superiors, to your peers, to your network, to your larger, customers, clients. So it's a whole network. And so how do you navigate that? So I give them specific tools for optimizing those relationships, sustaining their energies. Sometimes when you interact with people in the meetings, you can leave feeling really drained or exhausted. So I give them strategies for how to navigate that, how to keep their energy up, how to show up as 110%. People throw the term work-life balance, by the way, which I don't believe in the sense that actually I don't think it exists. And I don't think organizations, even though they may market it, it's not actually a priority, I feel, for organizations to be in charge of their employees' work-life balance. It's really up to the individual for how they manage it. So I give them those strategies for how to navigate and maintain that. And then the T is the thriving in your truth, leading with purpose, leading with power. Again, coming up with a long-term strategy for leading your life with empowerment, fulfillment, happiness, confidence, and surety.
That's beautiful. What is the time frame of your program?
So it's a very, very compact, fast-paced 6-week program. I spend 90 minutes each week taking people through the content and asking and answering their questions. And then there are bonus materials. There are workbooks. I have guest speakers come in who, experts from the industry who come and share their thoughts. People get to ask questions. So it's a very, very highly interactive, compact program, but people walk away feeling really, really empowered.
Yeah. And when someone goes through your complete method, what kind of transformation can they expect?
At minimum, they would get a whole lot of clarity. At minimum, they get a whole lot of clarity. But for the most, I would say they really go back into the workplace with a whole lot of confidence. They approach the meetings with just a different mindset. There's a shift. It's a transformation. It's not just, someone who's walking in and looking lost or referring to my notes. It's a transformation. Once they go through my program, they become it. So the program is really not just giving people tools or, referral frameworks. It's a program that intends to shift your mindset so that you're operating at a different level. You're operating in a different wavelength, at a, just a different mindset. So they are prepared for whatever comes their way. And they have the tools that it's the confidence level. It's almost saying, and I think that was my biggest impetus for creating this framework, is because sometimes I would be in situations where I would feel lost and I would feel like, oh, I need to go and ask someone. I think the beauty of my method is that the answers and the tools I would give them access to the answers themselves. They would have complete confidence that, hey, no matter what happens, I've got this.
Who do you feel called to serve specifically?
Yeah, right now it's women, especially could be women who are a little bit quiet, maybe who are more introverted, who are more intellectual, who tend to not speak up. But it can be anybody. It can be, sometimes I've seen the most vocal women who are actually just masking it and covering it up, but inside they're very, very shaky and not confident. So, sometimes looks can be deceptive. So that's why I just say, women 20s to 50s, anybody who really is high achieving but is feeling invisible and stuck in their careers, or in life, actually, some of my tools can really help people just get answers in their life if they're stuck elsewhere, to help navigate themselves better.
Hmm. And when did you realize that your personal transformation needed to become your mission to help others?
It's been a slow learning. It was never one aha moment for me. I honestly, I feel like it was when I started my journey, I came across a lot of people who were helping other people. And actually, that was one of my limiting beliefs. When I initially started, for some reason, I believed that I'm not good with people. I had this belief that I will not be good with people one on one, or like, somehow I will be rejected as a coach. There was that, I don't know where that came from, but it took me a while to understand that I was resisting what was really becoming more and more obvious to me, that this is my calling. I really need to start helping people. And I need to let go of my own fear of being in front of people or approaching people or talking to people, because I feel like the message now is so important that I cannot. I mean, I don't want to make it sound grandiose or anything. I'm just saying that because of what I've learned was so impactful for me, I just think that it became obvious that I had to share it with someone, and to keep my own limitation, stopping me from doing that just seemed wrong, honestly.
Hmm. That makes total sense. Is there anything that breaks your heart about your industry right now?
I mean, there's no one reason or one specific incident or one specific messaging, I would say. But I would definitely say that as an employee and as someone who is in the industry, you just need to be in a place where you know that you are cared for. I've seen for far too long, and again, yours truly being one of those people where, people give their 110%, but they're not surrounded by people who care for them. And if you're in the wrong place, no matter what you do, it will not be effective. And so having that insight and visibility that, hey, this place is actually not right for me, it sometimes takes a lot of courage. But that's where the bold steps are. You have to take those steps for your own happiness. It's always one of the things that I talk about, and I'm happy to share this right now with your audience. I think self love for me was a very, very hard learned lesson. And I think it took me a very, very long time. And even now to this day, I feel like sometimes I put other people first before me. And I think women do this time and time again. So recognizing, that if you're not being treated well, if your boss or your superior or your manager or your organization or whoever it is around you, if they're not treating you well, then that is not the place for you. And always trust that there is something better, that something better will show up. And heck, I would say, go make that place. If there isn't one that exists, then you create that place that treats you better. But yeah, I would definitely say that I think women for far too long can suffer and believe that, let me just stick it out a little bit more. Let me just stick it out a little bit more. Absolutely not. Not 1 minute, not 1 second, not a nanosecond, I would say.
That's so powerful. I mean, I wish I would have known you about 20 years ago, stuck in a career and the money was great and not wanting to leave, but being treated exactly like how you're saying, and put up with it long enough where my body finally couldn't take it anymore,
Yeah.
and to hear you say that, not 1 second, is so powerful, because that's so true, because you'll end up paying for it one way or another, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the standards you've set for yourself are the standards that you will get.
Yeah, that is so, so true. What can people expect when they work with you directly?
So as compared to my program, if they actually do work with me directly, they get access to me one-on-one, which means that while my tools are pretty self-sufficient, in navigating and helping them, figure out how their career is working out and evolving their journey. If I work with them, I can give them my own insights. I can, probably short circuit that time a little bit more just based on my experience and, having worked with so many people and having seen so many different work environments. And in corporate, I've worked on thousands of applications. I worked on transformation projects. I have navigated some of the highest, complex political environments. So my program really talks about some generics, but if you work with me one-on-one, maybe there's something that's nagging you or bothering you, or there's a question where you need a specific strategy or approach, then I can work with them on that.
Mm-hmm. And if someone wants to connect with you and learn more, how can they do that?
They can have a link to my calendar and they can book a session with me, a brief intro, so we can get to know each other better and see if our goals are aligned, and we can take it from there.
What has changed in your business or life since you started working with the Radical company?
The Radical team has been pretty amazing. I think what they have done is allowed me to focus on my creative and take some of the execution stress, the hows of implementing my business and launching my online presence. They've taken some of that out, from my to-do list. So it's been a boon and it's been an asset, and I'm very, very grateful that I found them at the right time, honestly.
Mm-hmm. And if someone was considering joining the Radiverse, what would you tell them about your experience?
It's been so amazing. I think I will say that initially, I never was like the first time that I found you guys, it was like I was in. I don't think I even, and it's very rare for me, by the way, I will say, like when I make decisions, most of the time, especially when I'm making investment decisions, I tend to sleep over it. I tend to evaluate it in this case, but I'm also on the other side. It's like I'm a gut person. And those are very, very rare with me. Like, there are situations where for a very small dollar amount, I'll keep rethinking over and over again. But in the case of, as soon as I heard about, what you guys were offering, I think my gut instinct without a question right away was like, go for it. So I have not been disappointed with that at all. And I feel like the team has been amazing. They respond in a very, very timely manner. They're always on top of their deliverables. You feel supported, you feel listened to, and it's a team that cares for you, honestly. So I feel truly, truly grateful to have found you guys.
Very good. Charu Aggarwal, thank you so much for your time here on Radical TV today.
It was a pleasure, Shawna. Thank you.